how to practice gratitude during difficult times. Now, this seems to imply that there is one way to practice gratitude during good time and another way to practice gratitude during difficult times. Of course, that is not actually the case. However, when we are facing difficult times, it can sometimes be very difficult for us to be calm or be grateful because of the negativities that are bountiful during those times. So basically, to answer these questions straight away in simple terms, there is no difference in practicing gratitude during good times and during difficult times, except that during difficult times, we have to put in a lot more effort to look for the good. But before I get into the details of how to practice, this is what I would like to do. This is how I would like to present my talk this evening. I'm going to try to answer 3 questions. The first question is, what is gratitude? At first glance, it might seem like it's almost instinctual for us when we heard the word gratitude. It's like we know it. But at the same time, if we are asked to properly define what gratitude is, we may find a problem in defining it. And for scientists who want to study gratitude, that kind of vagueness is not acceptable. So they have to come up with a proper definition of gratitude. And we will go into that in a little while. The second question is, why be grateful? Of course, that means that when we are grateful, there is plenty of evidence to show that gratitude confers a lot of benefits to the practitioner as well as to society in general. And we will also go into details of that later. How to be grateful in difficult times. Okay. I will spend about 10-15 minutes on the first questions, and then when about 10-15 minutes for the second questions, and leave the rest for the third questions. Okay. So, what is gratitude? A simple definition of gratitude that we can see from dictionaries is that it is a quality of being thankful or appreciative. And it is something that is associated with the act of giving and receiving. However, for those who want to study gratitude, they are more specific. They say that gratitude arises through a 2-step process. The first step is that it is recognizing that one has obtained something positive, a gift, something good, something wholesome. The second process is that we recognize that this gift, this outcome, this positive outcome that we get comes from an external source that is outside of our own effort, outside of ourselves. So, in a way, once we receive something that is positive from some source that is outside of us, the feeling of gratitude arises in us. Or it can arise in us. It may not always arise in us, but it is the trigger for the arising of gratitude in us. Okay. So in a way, it is an acknowledgement that there is goodness in one's life, that we are getting something good in our life, something wholesome, something that we are going to benefit from. And we recognize that this source of goodness being outside of us. And because we acknowledge this, it implies a little bit on our side, a little bit of humility, because it is not from our own effort. It's not something that we feel that we deserve because we have put in the effort to get it. Sometimes this gift, this goodness that comes to us come unexpectedly, right? So it implies humility, the willingness to admit that we are getting something perhaps for nothing, for not doing anything, okay? It also implies that we recognize there is goodness in this world. Now, this is a very important worldview, because if we become cynical and we think that there is nothing good in the world, it is very hard for us to practice gratitude. So the more cynical a person is, the harder it is for him to practice gratitude, right? And of course, in the end, there is this sense of appreciation of the goodness that we have received, okay? This is basically what gratitude is. Now, when researchers and scientists study gratitude, they ask themselves, what exactly is gratitude? Can we say that it is an emotion or a state, which means that this is a feeling that arises from circumstances, it is short-lived, it arises just for a little while, it stays with us, and then it goes off, right? Or is this gratitude an enduring trait or attitude? In other words, is it a settled way of thinking or feeling about something that our mind has predispositions to stay in, something hardwired in our brain, a mental habit, okay? If it is enduring, then it is called a trait or an attitude. If it is transient, it is called a state or an emotion. And there are also some scientists who say that it could be a mood, which is somewhere in between transient and enduring, okay? Something that wax and wane, right? There are also people who say that gratitude can actually be a form of personality. It's embedded as a personality trait, okay? There are also people, especially philosophers, who say that gratitude is actually a virtue, a moral behavior, an ethical value, okay? So gratitude can be many things to many people, but studies have shown that gratitudes are all of the above. It's a transient state. It's also an enduring trait in some people. It is also a moral value, a virtues, and all the positive association with gratitude. Okay. Now, studies have shown that we may first start off with some transient state of gratitude, some emotional state of gratitude. But if we continue to repeat this state over and over and over again over a long period of time, eventually that gratitude state stay with us in our predispositions. It becomes an attitude, a more enduring attitude in us. And this change is called neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to create new neural pathways. And what happens is that when we consistently have this repeated state of gratitude, new neural pathways are born, and they multiply and they get more and more, the more we have this repetitive state of gratitude, until eventually one day it becomes set in the brain and the pathways becomes permanent, all right? Now, this is something that the Buddha already knew a long time ago, 2000 over years ago. In the Devda Vittaka Sutta, which is found in Majjhima Nikaya number 19, the Buddha said, whatever a monk keeps pursuing with his thinking and pondering, that becomes the inclination of his mind. Okay, so what it means is that if we think about something repeatedly, it becomes habitual. This is good if we want to practice a positive mental habit. All we need to do is to repeat the positive emotion over and over again in order for us to be eventually able to fix that state into our mind. Okay, but on the downside, it can also be caused by negative emotion. If we have the habit of ruminating or thinking about negative things, then that habit can also stay with us. So it is really important for us. That is why it is very important for us to be mindful of what we feed into our mind. Or it's important for us to be mindful of what we focus or pay attention to in our mind. Because whether it is good or whether it is bad, it can become a permanent state. It has been found that a grateful person has positive worldview. The grateful person sees the world as colorful, a lot of potentials, a lot of opportunities. It is not bleak or dark or even gray. Okay, so a grateful person is naturally hopeful and optimistic. And being hopeful and optimistic is beneficial in the sense that an optimist is always happier and physically as well as mentally healthier. And also actually luckier, because the mind of an optimist is open to opportunities. On the other hand, a pessimist is more unhappy, more unhealthy, both physically and mentally, and more unlucky, basically because his mind is close to possibilities, to opportunities. So that brings me to this broaden and build theory. This broaden and build theory is presented by Barbara Fredrickson, a researcher in positive emotions. Okay, according to her theory, when we have positive emotions, these positive emotions enhance, magnify, or amplify other positive emotions so that we attract new, novel thoughts and activities that are also positive. We attract positive relationships. We become more pro-social. We mix and interact with people more freely and more openly. And in doing so, we build enduring personal resources like social support when we are down. At the same time, we build internal resilience and mental strength. And we build the kind of skills and knowledge that is necessary to stay resilient and strong. Okay. So all these in the end will give rise to enhanced good health, both physically and mentally, the ability to survive, and the sense of fulfillment in life. Okay. And then it goes on to produce even more positive emotion, and the cycle repeat itself. So this is called an upward spiral of positive emotions. Like I say, the same thing can apply to negative emotion, except that in that sense, when you have negative emotions, you go downhill. So it's called a downward spiral, and you get negative effect, more negative emotions. So what we want to do is to focus our mind on positive emotions, on positive things, positive thoughts. So really, even from here, you have already got the most important clue that if you want to experience gratitude or any kind of positive emotion, the key is where you place your focus on, what you choose to pay attention to, right? We'll talk about this more later on. Now, gratitude is a practice that is found in all major religions, whether it is Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Christianity. All major religions praise gratitude and encourage gratitude in their practitioners. Okay. Gratitude is also praised by philosophers. In fact, Cicero said that gratitude is the mother of all virtues. Right. So what did the Buddha have to say about gratitude? Okay, I have here 2 suttas that touch on what the Buddha said about gratitude. The first one is found in Anguttara Nikaya 2.119. Here the Buddha says, monks, these 2 people are hard to find in the world. Which 2? The one who is first to do a kindness, and the one who is grateful for a kindness done and feel obligated to repay it. These 2 people are hard to find in the world. So what the Buddha meant is that people who are first to do kindness is rare, and people who are grateful is also rare. Mm-hmm. The other sutta is called Katanya Sutta, found in Anguttara Nikaya 2.31 and 2.32. Here the Blessed One said, now, what is the level of a person of no integrity? A person of no integrity is ungrateful and unthankful. This ingratitude, this lack of thankfulness is advocated by rude people. It is entirely on the level of people of no integrity. A person of integrity is grateful and thankful. This gratitude, this thankfulness is advocated by civil people. It is entirely on the level of people of integrity. So what the Buddha points out here is that good people, wholesome people, nice people, people with moral virtues, practice gratitude and thankfulness. Okay. So now we come to question number 2. Why be thankful? In other words, why is gratitude so good that we want to practice it? It is said that gratitude is a glue that binds society together, brings people together. It has physical, emotional, mental, and interpersonal benefits. Now, to practice gratitude is a choice, and it is a skill that anyone can learn, provided you put in the aspiration and the determination to learn it. Okay, like any skill, you have to believe that you can practice it, you can succeed in it. If you don't have this belief, then there is no incentive or motivation for you to practice, to choose to practice gratitude. Okay. The benefits of gratitude extends into almost every aspect of our life. Personally, to the individual, physical and mental and emotional, we have mentioned. Socially, in relationships, as well as in career, in jobs. Now, let's take a look at physical benefits of gratitude. Gratitude improves physical health. It helps a person to sleep better, become more energetic, and people who are grateful tends to exercise more and live longer. In fact, grateful people also tend to have better outcomes when they are sick. Studies of patients who have cardiac diseases found that those patients who are grateful tend to recover faster, tend to sleep better, tend to also have lesser level of inflammation in their cells. So gratitude confers a lot of physical benefits. Gratitude also confers a lot of emotional benefits. It makes us feel good. It makes us more relaxed. It triggers the relaxation response in us, the parasympathetic nervous system. So we become less stressed. We are more open to ideas. We become more resilient in facing adversities. And in fact, we have better, happy memories. In fact, studies have also shown that people who are resilient have happy memories in two ways. One way is that they are able to pick up and recall the happy memories that they have. The other way is that they can actually reframe even bad memories. Meaning, for example, when we were small and we encounter a bad experience, that experience can stay with us and become a bad memory for us. But grateful people can reframe that. Like, for example, they can take a look back at those memories and they say, oh, that was the time when I was small. Because I was small and young, I was not so mature. So I see things black and white only. So of course, that time, something like this is either good or bad. And if I already label it as bad, I only see it as bad. But now that I am an adult, I do not necessarily see things as black and white. I see a lot of grays in between. And when I look back at the bad memory, it may not actually be as bad as before, as the first time. So they can actually reframe their perspective and thereby reduce the bad memories and increase more good memories. In that way, they become happier as well. Okay. Gratitude also has conferred us with a lot of mental benefits. We become less materialistic, become less self-centered. In fact, we become more people-centered, outward-looking. And because of that, we feel good about ourselves. We feel more positive self-worth and self-esteem. And as we have mentioned earlier, grateful people are more optimistic and therefore they are happier and they are luckier. And grateful people are also more open to spirituality. There are a lot of benefits also in terms of relationship. In fact, gratitude has been shown to promote pro-social behavior, meaning people who are grateful tend to want to affiliate with other people. They tend to be more likely to reach out to other people. Okay. So in that way, people who are grateful tend to have healthier marriage. And the relationships that they form are deeper and stronger. And they make friends more easily, so they have more friends. And they are also more helpful and forgiving and compassionate towards others. And in the end, because of this pro-social behavior, they are less lonely. So scientists have a specific term for this kind of thing. They call it find, remind, and bind. What it means is that because of gratitude, we have pro-social behavior that allows us to find new friends, new relationship, and it helps us remind us of the good relationships that we already have and strengthen it, making it deeper and stronger. So the relationship, the binding of the relationship is there. So that's why it's called find, remind, and bind. Now, grateful people also benefits in career. It improves relationships with their colleagues. And in fact, if they are in position of management, they tend to make better decisions and more, what do you call, considerate decisions as well. So in the end, it is easier for them to achieve the goals and increase productivities in the office. And of course, when you are grateful and you have this pro-social behavior, you tend to create an environment at work that is easy and relaxed for the people, for your colleague, instead of a toxic environment where people try to outdo each other in a negative way. Right? So, how can we be grateful? How can we practice gratitude? This is the answer that I'm going to give for today's topic and the third questions that I mentioned just now. Now, no matter what circumstances we are in, no matter where we are, no matter what we are facing, we can always be grateful for the fact that we are alive. Okay, that is the first thing we can be grateful for. We are alive. The Buddha already taught us that a human life is very, very precious and very, very rare. Okay, it is difficult to be born as a human being. So being born as a human being and being alive itself is a cause to be grateful. The other things that we can be grateful for is for the health that we have. If we are healthy and we are able to do things without pain and aches, without any limitations, that is something we can be grateful for. Even if we are sick, even if we are not perfectly healthy, even if we have pains and aches, we can still be grateful for the ability to still be able to function, whatever, despite the limitations that we have, right? And we can always be grateful for the opportunity, for whatever opportunities that come our way. We can also be grateful for the people in our life, our parents, our siblings, our friends, our colleagues. Of course, it depends on how good these people are in your life, in the circle of your life. The trick, therefore, is not whether, again, we can see that it's not so much about things outside of us or people outside of us or around us. It's a question of what we want to focus on. There are good people and bad people that we encounter in life. If we continue to focus on the bad people in our life, then it's hard for us to feel grateful. But if we just tune our mind to look for good people in our life and focus on them, then it is easy to become grateful. Of course, even if it is someone bad in our life and we can't avoid that person, even in that bad person, there are some good traits, some good qualities that the person has. And we can focus on those good qualities and still be grateful, right? So it is not that we have no opportunity to be grateful or no opportunity to practice gratitude. We have. We only need to train ourselves to look for the good everywhere. Therefore, even in hardship, in time of adversities like this pandemic, in difficult situation like a recession, inflations, and all the difficult environment out there, we can still be grateful if we can tune to what is good that we still have in our life, right? So one way to practice how to be grateful for me, which was taught to me by Dr. Pang, was to focus on these three things. Number one, what has gone right in your life? Number two, what has not gone wrong? And number three, what has gone wrong, but you learn a valuable lesson about life from it? What do I mean by that? Number one, what has gone right in your life basically refers to things that you actually have planned and goals that you want to attain and the effort that you yourself have put in. And in the end, everything falls into place and you have attained the goal. So you have been successful in attaining what you want to do. You can be grateful for that thing. So this is quite natural. People who are successful through their own effort are grateful for what they have. But number two, what has not gone wrong? This refers to our day-to-day activities that we take for granted. For example, we drive to work every day. Okay. We can be grateful for the fact that we didn't have a punctured tire on the way to work. The car didn't break down on the way to work. There was no accident on the road to cause a traffic jam and cause us to be late to work. So daily things like this that we took for granted, they didn't go wrong. We can be grateful for those things as well. Number three, even if things have gone wrong, but we can learn a valuable lesson about life from it, it is still something that we can be grateful about. Okay, so if you use this formula, it is easy to find something to be grateful about. So the Buddha says about the preciousness of life. Now, a lot of researchers in gratitude have come up with gratitude activities that are helpful for people who want to practice gratefulness. And here are some of them. The first one, daily reminder, which can be in the form of a sticker in your bathroom window, mirror, or a poem that you could recite every day. Number two, a gratitude journal. Number three, a gratitude letter. Number four, all walk. Number five, gratitude through our speech and actions. Okay. Now I'll go through each of them one by one. So how to be grateful? This is a simple poem that you can recite to remind yourself to be grateful. I used to practice this for a long time. I was practicing this when I was a bit younger. And it helps me to generate a sense of appreciation for what I have. And it's easy to remember also because it rhymes. Thank you for the abundance. Thank you for the wealth. Thank you for all the happiness, protection, and good health. Okay. So you can recite this first thing in the morning when you wake up or at night before you go to sleep. Just say thank you for the abundance. Thank you for the wealth. Thank you for all the happiness, protection, and good health. Okay. This in a way is an easy way to remind yourself to tune in to good things, to the goodness in life. Right. Number two, how to be grateful through gratitude journal. In this activity, you devote some time to write down your blessings in life. Okay, this is called counting your blessings. You can write 1, 2, or 3 blessings on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. Okay, you can be grateful for just being alive. You can be grateful for all the things that have gone right or didn't go wrong, or even things that have gone wrong, you have learned something from it. Okay. Now, the trick to writing a gratitude journal is that it is not just writing a simple word like, oh, I'm grateful to be alive. Okay. You have to give a more thorough thought to that. You have to almost isolate that feeling of gratitude when you say, oh, I am grateful to be alive, elaborate, go into details. Why? Why do you say you are lucky to be alive? You are grateful to be alive? Because as long as you are alive, you still have the opportunity to learn. You still have the opportunity to grow. You still have the opportunity to help people. You still have the opportunity to do a lot of things. So go into detail and be as specific as you can, because the process is like this. The first thing is you need to train yourself to focus on what is good. Make this into a daily attitude, a daily habit. Every day, learn to focus or look for what is good. And then go into detail and repeat it so that it gets strengthened, because repetitions cause new neural pathway to be born, to be built. And if you continue repeating all these activities day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, it will eventually become a hardwired, solid physical pathways. And then it becomes a natural habit, something that you can do without even thinking. Okay. So in the end, what you need to do is to train your mind to focus on the positive and doing these kind of things repeatedly until it becomes a habit. Another way is to write gratitude letters, meaning writing letter of appreciation to people who are important to you, your partner, your parents, your siblings, even children, friends, and colleagues. Okay. I have a story of a person who wrote a gratitude letter to a man who wrote a gratitude letter to his brother. Okay. The brother didn't expect this letter from him, but when he read this gratitude letter from him, he was so touched that he said his tears almost from he almost cried. Okay. He was so touched by the fact that his brother wrote him a gratitude letter. So again, when you write a gratitude letter, you can write it because you are thankful for a specific event that has happened. Maybe someone helped you in a big way to achieve something that you could not otherwise have achieved. Or you can be thankful something that is general in a relationship. Like, for example, you can thank your spouse for all the years of happiness that you have experienced with your spouse. And to make it even better, you can list down one by one what are all the good things that you have benefited from this relationship. Okay, the more detail, the more personal, the better. Okay. Another way to create the sense of gratitude is all walk. All is a sense, or it's an overwhelming self-transcendent sense of wonder and reverence, a part of something larger than oneself, like nature, music, art, or sometimes a spiritual figure like the Dalai Lama. Okay, when you see the Dalai Lama or you see someone spiritual, it can be an awe-inspiring experience. Okay, and you can feel extremely grateful for having been there in his presence. This kind of awe-inspiring feeling can happen also if you go for nature walk. Scientists have done these studies, getting people to do nature walk 15 minutes a day for about 8 weeks, and they see that the participants have better positive mental health, increased level of gratitude and compassion, and they become more outward looking rather than inward self-centered. Okay. Now, how can we be grateful in relationships? Okay. Studies have shown that gratitude is one of the key criteria for a wonderful, content relationship. Okay. If both partners are grateful and they show it through their speech and action, through small actions, then that relationship will last. On the other hand, studies have also shown that if you have contempt for your spouse, for your partner, then very likely that relationship is going to end. Okay. So how can we be grateful in relationship? First, we can be generous in our speech. Use a lot of words like thank you and sorry if you have done something wrong. Okay. I think it's not too difficult to say thank you when somebody has done something nice for us. But I find that a lot of people seem to have quite a strong pride and find it difficult to say sorry. So the trick to practicing to say sorry is say sorry for small things first. Okay. Once you get used to saying sorry for small errors that you make, maybe something you forgot, your partner asks you to buy something and you forgot, so just say sorry. So this kind of small things, when you start to say sorry, next time when there are bigger things, it's easier to say sorry because you have already have the habit, cultivated the habit of saying sorry. Okay. So saying thank you and saying sorry are two important habits that we should have. Okay. We can also make an effort to do small daily acts of kindness by, for example, bringing your partner a cup of tea in the morning, tidy the kitchen, compliment him or her for her dressing, for her good mood, things like that. Small things, daily things. Say something nice. In the same way, we can train our mind to notice good things and reciprocate. Okay. And finally, try to involve your children. Okay. Teach them to also be grateful. Teach them to do all this, say all these things. Thank you, sorry, and to be to notice good things and compliment. Okay. So in this way, you will have very strong family bond. Other ways to be grateful includes nurturing your friendship, spend a bit more time, think about your friends, getting together with them, sharing some old time sakes, memories, things like that. Smile more often. If you are one of those people who don't put on a smile, try to smile more often. Okay. Or include acts of kindness, sudden act of kindness people may not be aware of or expect you to do. Very, very important, actually, stop criticizing and stop judging, because these two habits are counterproductive to gratitude. People who have this habit of criticizing and judging are people who have trained their mind to look for the negative in others. So this is the opposite of looking for the good in others. Therefore, if you are critical and judgmental, how can it be easy for you to be grateful? It is not. So stop this habit of criticizing and judging, or at least work hard to reduce this habit. Now, the whole of the Buddhist practices, things like chanting, dana, sila, bhavana, these are all Buddhist practices. These are all major Buddhist practices. The whole of Buddhist practices and Buddhist life is conducive to bring about a sense of gratitude. Okay. One way for us to remind ourselves to be grateful is through the chanting of Mangala Sutta. Okay. And you find that actually when we practice dana, this is the act of giving and receiving. And you know, gratitude is the act of giving and receiving, right? So there is a lot of similarities between dana and this feeling of gratitude. In fact, the quality of gratitude that you get is similar to the quality of dana, right? It is dependent on the state of the giver, the quality of the giver. It is dependent on the gift, the quality of the gift. And it is also dependent on the recipient, the quality of the recipient. If you understand the concept of dana in Buddhism, you will realize that the quality of the dana is higher if the giver is purer, more wholesome in thoughts, and if the gift is more useful and beneficial to the recipient, and if the recipient himself or herself also have good quality in mind, or in heart, good heart, a good person. So all this enhance the quality of the dana. It is the same with the quality of gratitude. The gratitude quality increases when the giver gives sincerely, when the gift is appropriate and useful for the recipient, and when the recipient is grateful and acknowledge and even demonstrate that gratitude for the gift. Okay, so the practice of dana is a great way for us to generate this sense of gratitude. Okay, now what about sila? Okay, like I said earlier, some philosophers call gratitude a virtue, a moral behavior. Okay, in fact, if you look at the benefits of sila that is found in Anguttara Nikaya 10.1, where Venerable Ananda asked the Buddha, what are the benefits of sila? The Buddha said, the benefit of sila is that there is no remorse or guilt feeling. And then what is the benefit of no remorse and guilt feeling? Then the heart is gladdened. And when the heart is gladdened, then it is easier to experience piti. And if it's easier to experience piti, then there is tranquility that arises. When tranquility arises, then sukha arises. When sukha arises, then concentration becomes strong. When concentration becomes strong, we are able to see things as they really are. And when we are able to see things as they really are, we become disenchanted. And when we are disenchanted, then it is easier for us to let go and become liberated. But what I want to point out is that it is the practice of sila that gives rise to no remorse and the gladdening of the heart. This gladdening of the heart is almost similar to this feeling of gratitude, because the feeling of gratitude also brings about a gladdening of the heart. So actually, when you practice gratitude a lot, it becomes easier for us to reach this point of gladdening of the heart. And therefore, it implies that it becomes easier for us to practice meditation and helps us to progress easier in our meditation. And finally, bhavana is the practice of meditations. And I specifically point out the benefits of metta meditation because there are some similarities between the benefits of metta meditations and the practice of gratitude. Because some of the benefits of metta meditations is that one sleeps better, one wakes up energetic and happy. And while asleep, one do not have bad dreams, only good dreams. And one of the benefits of gratitude is good sleep, quality sleep. And in fact, people who are grateful has about 10% extra duration in good sleep, apparently from one studies. Okay. And also one of the other benefits of metta is that people who practice metta is loved by human beings and non-human beings alike. They are likable. People who practice gratitude also are likable. They are just so nice that people want to associate with them. So these are some similarities. In other words, what I'm trying to point out here is that the practice of gratitude enhance our Buddhist practices. Okay. And vice versa. Our Buddhist practices enhance our practice of gratitude as well. So, is there anything particularly that we need to focus on in order to practice gratitude during difficult times? Most of the time when we talk about difficult times, you are referring to things like aging, sickness, and dying. Those are physical pains. Or difficult times like financial and relationship difficulties. Those are mental and emotional pains. But as I've mentioned earlier, regardless of what the challenges may be, our actual problem is only one: what we choose to focus on. Because whatever we focus on, the more we focus on it, the more we repeat our focus on that, we make it stronger. And if it is important to realize that our life experiences are just strings of what we focus on. It's one focus after another, all tied in a knot, one to another. Okay, that is our life experiences. It is what we place our attention on, right? Things outside can be positive, negative, neutral. So our happiness or our suffering is purely created by how we focus or pay attention to things outside. If we choose to focus on the negative, then of course we will generate negative emotions. If we choose to train ourselves to focus on the positive, then we automatically generate positive emotions like gratitude. So this simple insight is actually very, very important. What we focus on grows stronger. So be very careful what you pay attention to. This is why mindfulness meditation is so important, because it is through mindfulness that we are able to train ourselves to be aware of where we are placing our attention on, what we are placing our attention on, where our focus is, right? In fact, if we can train ourselves to constantly focus only on the positive, we are going to be very, very happy and contented in our life. There is a way to enhance the positive experience that we already have. And this is what the scientists call savoring the present moment. Savoring is the capacity to notice, again, to notice, to be aware of, to appreciate, to enhance, and to prolong a positive experience. Okay. Now, we don't have to wait until we experience a huge event for us to be grateful, for us to be able to savor the positive experience. Okay, a huge event gives us very intense emotion, but small daily events, small daily activities, although they are not so intense in emotion, the frequency, the repetition is actually more beneficial to us because it helps us to create a habit in our mind. So learn to savor the present moment in every small activity in our daily life. Okay. The scientists call it sensory perceptual sharpening. In our lay Buddhist term, it's called present moment awareness. Okay. We can learn to also recall some of the positive experience that we have and repeatedly share it, name it. The more we talk about it, the more we recall it or write it down, we strengthen that experience. We make the experience last and make it more easy to for us to access it when we want to in the future. Okay. So in the end, although gratitude can be experienced as a state or a temporary short-term emotion, what we want to do is to train our mind to practice looking for the good in everyday things, in everyone, in every event, so that this training of repeating looking for the good helps us to habituate looking on the positive side of life. This is called mental positioning. And if we continue to repeat this, it will eventually become hardwired in our brain and become a habit that is difficult to eradicate later on. Simply summarize it by saying that, number one, we should practice gratitude because there are so many benefits that we can get from the practice of gratitude. Number two, in order for us to practice gratitude, it is actually a training of our mind, training our mind to focus on what is good, what is positive, what is wholesome, and to do this repeatedly until it becomes a mental habit. Because the Buddha says that whatever your mind ponders upon repeatedly becomes the inclination or the mental habit of your mind.